Good morning. This is Daniel Posney, and this is Shifting Perspectives. And the first part of this, I'm just going to get out of the way and let you know about what's going on for the first, well, actually for the whole year. For most of these events and workshops and retreats, I don't have dates to, but some I do. So I'm going to share with you those. February is one I don't have a date for. It's Attracting Your Soulmate. Just really, I get really excited about sharing what I've learned from this. And so it's probably going to be about a week after Valentine's Day. It's probably somewhere around the 25th or something close to that. And then in March, we've got Sing Your Death Song, which is, so that's March 25th, and it's all day in Sedona, actually at our property. So we've got lots of things available here: Medicine Wheel, Sweat Lodge, Creek, and lots of exercises and rituals and insights about getting more comfortable with death. And everyone's going to be able to create and sing their death song. So that's another one I'm really excited about. In April, Valerie and I are going to do a couples retreat. In May, there's a spiritual retreat. In June, there's a men's retreat that is a 6-day retreat. July, we've got a father and son retreat. In August, another couples retreat, and in September, a cancer support retreat, and then October, another men's retreat, which is a 4-day. So today, what did I want to talk about? Let me come back to that. Relationship, healing relationship. So how do I pack this into about 10 or 12 minutes? It really comes down to noticing that what pisses you off or upsets you about your current partner or past partner is about things that you brought into the relationship, and they're things that made you feel a certain way. And for me, it kind of hit on little insecurities that I've had since I was a kid, and which are mostly healed, but still kind of trickle up every once in a while. And it revolves around me having sovereignty and not being controlled and that kind of thing. And I've actually just recently got to an even deeper place on that one. But in the past, it was all about wanting to know myself as myself and wanted to have full liberation and freedom with myself. So we can unpack that one for a while. But I started to meet that trigger in different relationships, and I kept on blaming it on the person in the relationship, like we always do. You're doing this to me, and you're controlling me, or you're not. I don't feel worthy around you. I don't feel loved around you. But if we really track that back down to sometime in our childhood, whether we remember it or not, it's probably back there somewhere. And it's just so interesting to me that when we get into conversation with someone, if you ask that person what's kind of the fill in the blank, how they've always felt in relationship or kind of throughout their life, and if you ask them about how their childhood was, well, I had a pretty good childhood. My dad was alcoholic, and my mom wasn't very much there, but it was pretty good. You kind of see the patterns of that, and that little seed was planted way back then, and then got developed into this, you could call it an organism or a belief system that carried on through the relationship. So to heal the relationships, which I'm not just talking about the intimate relationships, this is really about everyone in your life that you have a relationship with. That could be a work relationship, friend relationship, or intimate. The thing is that in our intimate relationships, those ties get really tied in there, and there's karmic things going on, and there's deep resolutions and patterns and those kind of things in those intimate relationships. So that kind of answers the question, is that why is it that everyone thinks I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread and everybody loves me until they get home? It's because you're in this healing process with your partner, and all of your shit is coming up. All of your triggers are coming up from what you brought into the relationship. So the moment we can stop blaming it on the person in the relationship, the moment we can start really getting into healing, and a better word is integrating those past traumas. So the best thing that we can do, or one of the things that we can do, is really start to look at ourselves, really start to look at our patterns and our reactions and what pisses us off or what makes us sad or what brings us into depression. And we start looking at it and saying, okay, where is that coming from? Why am I feeling this way? So from that place, and you can go, okay, did this come from somewhere before this relationship? Now you've kind of really cracked open the egg that now you can stop blaming the person that's in front of you. And you can start not really blaming anyone, actually. It's just kind of noticing and just being observant of it. Wow, okay. Huh. I felt this way too in my childhood. Okay. I'm still going to get a little triggered sometimes, and that's all right. But it takes the energy out of completely blaming this other person. And one of the little conversations that you can have with your partner is, in fact, let me see if I can. No, it's going to take too much time. It's something that I wrote. Maybe I'll share it in the next one, but it's an atonement with my relationships. And basically what it shares is, I've been seeing you and our relationship through the eyes of my childhood trauma, and I've been blaming you. And when you can come to the place of no longer blaming anyone, including yourself, it just kind of happened. The environment was rich with that energy, whatever that energy was. And when I think more of that, what is happening to me is actually just, if I think of it, if I narrow everything down to a flow of energy, because of my own insecurities, because of my own parents' insecurities. And it was all just kind of a match there. And it all got cultivated into this thing. And because of that energy of insecurity, I attracted people that would take advantage of that. And it's not that they were doing something against me because they were consciously attacking me or something. It's just that it's a natural flow. It's a natural attraction, just like a narcissist will attract someone who needs to speak their truth. So everyone blames the narcissist about being the problem, but actually the person that is involved in that relationship is a natural attraction to that. So the one that has not been speaking the truth needs to learn how to do that. And the narcissist is one of the most insecure people, and they both kind of attract each other. So when I think of it as more of a flow of energy instead of a mind centered, this person is doing this to me, why does this keep on happening? Then it takes really the harsh energy out of it and makes it more of a karmic or natural flow. So when I look at my relationships like that and I say, okay, the reason why I didn't feel loved or I didn't feel someone really understood me, because sometimes I didn't allow that because I was protecting myself. So it's this real honest looking at myself, and more importantly, specifically, I'm not looking at myself as the whole. I'm actually, to be specific, I'm looking at my egoic mind. I'm looking at what my mind has conjured up along the way and what beliefs and patterns that it's been creating and that I intertwined myself with and enacted. So the mind came up with these ideas that I should protect myself and hold this insecurity. And then I went out there and I kind of activated that in the physical. So when I start to kind of pull that apart, then I can start to look at myself and my mind as a sort of a separate aspect of myself. Now I can get more, it's funny what happens is I get more comfortable with kind of acknowledging that. And because in the past, when we kind of think that we are our thoughts and beliefs in our mind, we're all just one big package and this is who I am, this is me, then it's hard for us to own these things. It's hard for us to take responsibility for these things. But if this is kind of my sidekick over here, and I go, wait a minute, it was this over here. It was this part of me, not the whole of me, but just the part of me that kind of got kicked into gear. And then you start looking at it with this little bit of like a compassionate, analytical mind, where it has deep compassion for what's been happening to this being, to this innocent child, but with this understanding of with the environment and with what was going on, that, yeah, I can see how that would happen. So I have a process where the first part of it is kind of a discovery about what's been happening in your life in your childhood and what was the energy and the conversation and that. Then from that, you get to pull kind of the energy of the environment out. And then the second part of it is this understanding. But I know that one of the things that I really do my best to focus on is that not going right into the answer of something, that there needs to be like kind of a pull back and say, whew, wow, that was tough, man. I could, so we both get to kind of feel that, that person gets to feel it and I get to feel it because I attracted this person. So I can start to feel it inside of myself, and we can just have a moment of just feeling it, acknowledging it before we move right away into the solution. And then the solution is usually about what is it that you need and what needed to be activated at that time, and how can you practice that now so that it gets more activated in your life. So that's kind of the summary of the process that I use. But you know, it's funny that the more and more that I've been doing this, it's over 15 years, that my mind wants to go directly into the solution, but my heart tells my mind, no, pull back. Just, I understand you got the solution here. You know, you've seen this before, but pull back and let's just spend, both of us, all of us who was ever in the room, just to acknowledge with compassion and empathy what's been going on. So let's see if I can sum up the healing relationship. It's just really taking responsibility for what we brought into the relationship. And imagine what would happen if you stop blaming this other person and you acknowledge that actually what was happening is that an emotion or a feeling was being activated in you. The mind wants to go outside and start to blame the person more and more and get into all the details about why this happened this way and how they did this. We can talk about it all day long about all the different ways that someone hurts us and abuses us. But if we can narrow down onto how it made us feel, now we can get somewhere so that we can start to really heal from the inside and start to create something different than that. So let's see, let me pull back. Oh, okay. So there's this other piece that I usually share with couples is what you need her to be for you is what she longs to become. And she just hasn't known how. And that could be because of her environment or from her parenting or whatever it is that she hasn't known how. So she's been doing the best that she can. She leaned into her masculine energy so she could feel more safer or to trust and to be more, take control of her environment where it was taken out of her before. And then the other thing is, the other way to say that is for the woman or the man, what you need him to be for you is what he longs to become, and he just hasn't known how. And that's where I was, is I knew there was something more, but I didn't see any path to get there except martial arts and religion or going off on some journey by myself. But, you know, I was kind of hoping that someone would grab me and say, hey, here's something, here's a path for you. So I longed to be something more than what society was keeping me in, this kind of resonant frequency of just the same. And yeah, I did learn more as I got older and that kind of thing, but I felt like there was something even more. And that's what we attract in our relationships sometimes, is that partner that will start to tweak, that kind of twist at those things that really trigger us in order for us to elevate ourselves into this new, I call it, version of ourselves. And that's what happened to me. It was, I was in some relationships where the woman would trigger in me these feelings of insecurity or emasculated and those kind of things. But it caused me to look at myself and realize that there were some things that I just hadn't been taught. I hadn't been shown by some kind of a master in this kind of wisdom. And if you're not taught this stuff, you're just kind of going along thinking that this is kind of me, this is who I am. But when you can get into a relationship that starts to activate that, then you can start to realize that, hey, this is something. This is not just to give everything that my egoic self needs. This is actually for my soul's evolution. And when you start to see the relationship as for your soul's evolution, it becomes a divine partnership. And that's a whole new thing. But I got to tell you that after you start to realize that and you start doing this inner work and you start creating or stepping into a new version of yourself, I never knew relationship could be so juicy, so beautiful, so intimate, so rewarding. Like I'm kind of tearing up about how it is. I never knew I could be loved so much. I never knew that I could feel so empowered, and all the things that I needed in my life but was rejecting. But it only happens, it seems to open, at least in my life, it only seems to happen when I start to look at myself, when I start to see what was in the way or what was resisting those kind of things. For instance, if I wanted to be completely loved by somebody, how could I accept any kind of love from anyone unless I completely love myself? I know that's an overdone concept, but the idea is that I need to go beyond my own mind in loving myself. And that's what you don't hear a lot, is that we tend to use our mind for the positive affirmations. I need to keep on telling myself I love myself. But my process needed to go beyond the mind to realize that there is a love that's deeper, more all-encompassing than even my own mind, that I sit in love with. So that's another topic for another video. But let's see if I can sum up what's been coming out of my mouth. Taking responsibility, like radical responsibility, to accept radical love in your life by looking at your patterns and your beliefs and what you say about yourself, and realize that they came from a much earlier point in your life that you brought into the relationship. And man, this is a really hard thing for the mind for the egoic mind to do, but to look at your partner and say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. I'm sorry that I took what I brought into the relationship and I blamed you, and I pointed at you for it. I mean, that's a huge thing to say. I brought this into the relationship and I could use some help to uncover exactly what this is. So you can do that with your partner, and some of that stuff it's hard to do with the partner, all of it, and you need to find someone that can help you, kind of unpack that. So I think that's all I get for 20 minutes. Thank you so much for listening, watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I love you. Thank you. Bless you.